So this is the second episode of the book of the Golden Nugget show from Unlimited. This is the second episode from Unlimited Wealth from Paul Zane Palzer. So yesterday the last week we talked about the first two pages, and now we're making we are actually digesting the last two. So if you haven't watched the first part of it, go in the comment box below, in the description below. There should be a link to the first video. And why is it important? Why should I watch this? This is also there explained. I want because it's a two-part. I want just to get right into it. So we ended up with the saying that we basically have fixed capabilities. Yeah. Then, in short, what Keynes and his fellows didn't realize was that when quantity demand is satiated, as it is these days amongst the vast majority of Americans, quality demand kicks in. So most of us have no quantity demand for food, I would say, but we still want more, or better said, the food should always be more tastier and it should be better and greater. And yes, we want better quality, and quality costs money, so it rises. My father once told me that when God really wanted to punish someone, he would give them everything they ask for. So imagine you have everything you ever wanted right now. How would your life be? There's no struggle. There's nothing to live on. You just have everything. And I personally would think it's boring. Because, okay, now I have everything I ever wanted. Without the struggle, am I even allowed to feel great about it? Or the other part would be what to strive for. what isn't one of the beauties of life having problems, because they actually make you grow? And this is one of my mentors stated, that people always want to solve all their problems, but the only people that don't have any problems living 6 feet under. Problems are a sign of life. So if I have everything I ever wanted, I have no problems anymore, then I most likely would be dead, because I would be in nirvana, I would be in heaven. So this is actually part of the human experience, to have problems that make you grow. And growing and becoming more, learning, evolving, there's so much pleasure in it. So why is it that so many people feel they used to have it better? The reason is that as much as the material quality of American life has risen, the expectations of Americans has risen even higher. Let me repeat this. As much as the material quality of American life has risen, the expectation of Americans have risen even higher. So this was what I was talking about with Sarah, and she told me, hey, yeah, we Germans are like, we are just boasting about this and that, but we have it so good here. But because our expectations are so high, our life grows even better. But because our life grows better, our expectations grow even higher. So let's state a really, really great example for it. The mentor of mine went on a flight, and I don't know which date it was, but no, wait a minute. I don't want a robot to interrupt this meeting, because I'm currently right now in a nice flow. So why is use so he was flying. Was on our airport, was flying, and then the pilot announced after they were in the sky. They announced, "Hey, we're by British Airlines are here to announce you the first thing that ever happened in this world. We are having right now. This is something we never had before. VLAN on this flight, and everyone in the flight was and wow, this is so great." And then over 600 people took out their cell phones, their laptops, and just using this VLAN. And after like 5 or 6 minutes, it was like the VLAN was broke, and then there was another announcement from the pilot. Yeah, it seems like that the internet broke down. So for the rest of the flight, it's not likely to come back. I'm really sorry. And everyone was furious about it. It was like the worst thing that ever happened to them. And how could they? And something that was 6 minutes ago was a pure miracle was now 5 minutes later taken for granted. It was expected. So this is how fast our expectations really manifest in our self. So he tells every time I hear this line, I got just getting chills. And actually talking about it right now is great. Change your expectations for appreciation, and your whole life will change. Alchemists recognize that what people want is a function of what is available. So the more there's available for consumers to buy, the more they want to buy. To put it in another way, in arithmetic world of infinite plastic need, people will buy anything if it's cheap enough. Technology determines the level of consumer demand and price at which goods can. Okay. The more it's available, the more we will buy if it's cheap enough. Okay, but it's what we want is just a function. This is actually what's called the technology gap. The technology gap is not what's available, but what's in use to what it's available. So most likely you heard of ChatGPT. How many of you use it? And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she told me, "Hey, we in our company don't use it. We're not allowed to, but I use it because I want to use it before I lose my job because of it, and actually be the one that gets those people who are not increasing their technologic advances to lose their job, basically." But this is really the technology gap. What's in use to what's in available. Not, hey, what we're not likely to change. We don't like to change pretty fast. We're creatures of habit. So change is really, we're really fearful of it. But the only thing we could ever be certain about in this whole world is that things will change. That's the only certainty we could ever have. And without certainty, without safety, we couldn't live. So we need really all to have this mindset of continual change. But I would call it like the Kaizen, like constant, never-ending improvement. Kaizen comes from the Japanese language, and it means improve for the better. You want to change every day, just 1%. Hey, this is something I could do, or just improving 1%. And this is what we're actually wanting to do. Increase 1%, and soon we will be in another space, because it stacks on each other. It's like I increase my capabilities today 1%, tomorrow 1%, and after a year I wouldn't be 365% better. It would be 1,000% because of the Zinseszins. Man, let me look it up. Because of the compounding interests, it will compound and you will be over 1,000 or over 2,000% better. And it's always increases. So to put it another way, people will buy anything if it's cheap enough. So everything can be sold at a price that people will buy it. So and nowadays, today in the online world, free is the greatest word we could ever use. Because hey, I wouldn't give you my email address, but if you give me something for free, okay. it's just this simple, this easy. To generating everything from one-line computer data service to more sophisticated direct marketing techniques, word of new products and processes reaches consumers around the world at literally the speed of light. The contrary, in today's alchemic world, if you have a good product and clearly identified customer base, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because one of two things is bound to happen. Either something will come up with a way of supplying your product at a lower cost, or some entirely new product will appear that renders you obsolete. So we basically, let's talk about the first part of this quotation. We have the internet right now, and I can talk with literally the whole world because I'm using the English language, and this is actually a friend of mine asked me, hey, you're German. I'm German, why don't you make it in German? Yeah, I know, because of you could reach more people. Yeah, might be one reason, but I personally believe that my first short video, you can watch it, is in German. But then I had this thought, like, okay, I really could do it in German, or I could do it in English and give my friends and everyone I get to know the opportunity, the need, the must, that they must learn a bit English to actually consume my content, and give them something back, because English is the most important language on this planet. You can sell at the speed of light, but only if you're using this language. The contrary archaic world. So you will have problems. Offer product at lower cost or some entirely. Like I told in the first video, it's like the blue and red oceans. You're in the red ocean where you have your fixed customer base, but it's also things Peter F. Drucker states in his book. I have another video about him. Really great book. I highly recommend it. It's like new companies go down fast if they do not manage. Existing corporations go down fast if they do not innovate. So the one is changing. Hey, I changed my job. I changed everything to start this corporation. Now I need management. The other have management, but if they don't change, if they don't constantly increase their capabilities of customer satisfaction, they will be obsolete in some years. If alchemy teaches us anything, it is that there's no end to what people can, will, and must have. It's like, hey, I really, it's like I told like we discussed in the first video. If you're a millionaire, you still have some things you could not buy because you don't have enough money. There's always something you must, will, or can have that is way too expensive for you. So you have something to strive for. And if you don't have anything to strive for, you will lose everything, because this is the law of nature. Either a tree grows or it dies slowly. So either you grow as a human, or you slowly start to die, to deteriorate. The higher level of our technology to begin with, the faster that level we rise. As the level rises, the rate of progress escalates. So like talking about interest, compound interest. Hey, it stacks on one of each other, and then it will catch us on, and you'll be somewhere you never would have dreamed of. What really matters is not the technology gap that exists between society, but the one that exists within each society. Not the gap between us and them, but the gap between what is and what could be. So this is actually what we discussed in the first video. Really watch it to get everything right here. If we're not in the technology gap, if we're basically, the technology gap is basically technology that is in use. Hey, I could use ChatGPT, but I'm not using it. I have still my copywriter, my normal copywriter for my sales copy. This is a technology gap. And this is where actually change will happen and change should happen. This is where we should consider, okay, this is something we need to diminish. Above all, what makes an RIT literally ready to be implemented is that its users transparent. So, like the saying goes, it takes a genius to make something simple. Every idiot can make things complex. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So, we really want to implement the stuff. We not only want to know what to do, but actually do what to know. And the only thing we do is when it's simple, when it's really simple, like you're posting a post on social media. That's simple. So on social media, how simple is it now to have a creator account? You don't need any technology, and you don't even need to cut videos. You just take a selfie because raw sells, and then you're there. The key is our ability to change, not the ability of society, not the ability of a company, but our personal individual ability to freaking change. If I can change so rapidly, I will have a competitive advantage beyond imagination. Change really takes time for most of people, but if you change faster, so we need to consider that competition nowadays was never so hard like it's now. We're competing not with people around our neighborhood, around our town, around our country. We're competing right now with the whole world, because hey, I could hire someone from India to get the job done, and he will have the same quality if it's a programming job, for example, and he will be much cheaper. Why shouldn't I? So we really need to change these things. In a short-term, society as a whole is just as rich because it still receives the output of the disciplined workers' labor, not now performed by the machine. And it is the long term, and it will be richer. Even the temporarily displaced individual finds a new job that increases the gross national product. So this is the reason why we all need to consider that actually firing someone because technology takes his job is actually good for him and society at all. Because he is in the struggle, then I need to change, and we don't do what we should. Oh, I should change. Oh, I should get more capabilities, not to be as a copywriter to be replaced by ChatGPT. No, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do is, if it's a must, hey, I lost all of my freaking job because of ChatGPT. I need to increase my freaking capabilities right now. Okay, and now he's from more value for society as a whole, gets a new job. It takes some time, yeah, but he could have changed even faster, even further, but this was actually his decision not to change and be less valuable for the company. And so he is now forced. It's a must to change, but everyone has going out of there positively. The employee got new capabilities to earn even more money, and the company has, on the other hand, not so much of a cost. And the labor supply increasingly means the educated labor supply. So education is key, and not just education, but actual execution of this education. In the economic economy, where one person's gain is not another person's loss, we all benefit when anyone increases his or her earnings by becoming more productive. Like we told about the guy that finally got to use ChatGPT. Hey, now he's more productive. He could take on more jobs for lesser amount of money, and he has more clients, and then he makes more money, and everything's better. Because their clients get more done, he gets more done, he gets more money, the clients get more money. Everything's fine right now. In the economic world, when an employee is faced with the loss of cheap labor, there are other options besides raising wages to be considered: replacing workers with machines, moving the operations overseas, or simply going out of business. Those are the three choices you have. So we need to change. Manage, like the example we had. Management is responsible for designing and developing the methods by which work is done. It must not be left up the skill and initiative of the worker. So, like, I will talk about this book. This is such a great book, and it will take several episodes, but I highly recommend it right here, right now. Principles from Ray Dalio. Like, he states in his books that most managers do the problem to either micromanage or not manage at all. They're like, hey, here, this is the task-specific thing you need to do, but I'm a knowledge worker. I know what to do. You only need to give me an outline. Or, on the other hand, they're like, just do your job, and you're like, man, I don't know what the frick I should do. So yeah, this is actually a problem I was faced with. But my manager took both parts. On the one hand, he just told me make marketing, and then after 4 or 5 months, I made marketing. But this is a whole other story. Then after 4 or 5 months, he's like, okay, now I need to micromanage. Now I need to tell him exactly what to do, and I'm like, man, I'm not this stupid. I don't need this whole bunch of information. I know what to do. You only need to say this. It's like, hey, I want my web page to be indexed by Google like an instant. I was like, okay, I can do it. Yeah, to index it, you have to make a sitemap, and with the sitemap, you have to give it to Google, and once you have given it to Google, it should be up there online in a few hours. And I was like, hey, and I interrupted him like the first sentence. I was like, hey man, I know. No, I manage you right now. I'm like, are you stupid? But several months ago, he was like giving me make marketing. I'm like, okay, overmanage, he micromanages, and not managing at all. Nice. The overall consumption has not kept pace with their rising income. So this is actually the problem Japan was facing. They did not consume enough to justify their income, so their society went down. The only way to solve the drug problem in our economic world is to reduce the demand for illegal drugs. So like we all state, hey, the drug war's over. We can't diminish people that they are actually not doing drugs, because the supply, we need to consider the supply, and it's illegal, and and if we legalize it, the supply is easy and more people will do drugs. No, they won't. We only need to consider the demand for those drugs. It's like the campaign with cigarettes and alcohol. We're not really into smoking anymore as whole much friends of mine. And this is actually a great thing. But we need to consider those campaigns should focus not on, hey, making it hard to supply, but to demand. Because, hey, if I'm really committed, I will get drugs on the street. I will find someone, something will show up, but it's bad quality. And if I demand it, I should go really after it. But this is where we should start, where we will start. And yeah, and this is actually a great thing in Germany. You're not allowed to do any cigarette advertisement anymore. So every cigarette advertisement is banned, and this is a great thing. It's also on Google. You're not allowed to advertise your freaking drug shit. This is great because this does not increase the demand anymore. Technology itself is perhaps the only store of value. This is, I think, the core of this whole book. Technology is the store of value. Technology. And if you're self-innovative, if you're self as human using technology, you're the user of value. As those who are being left behind, we have the ability to bring them into our arithmetic world so that they can share in the prosperity. So this is what I always tell like everyone who wants to become this kind of leader. If you're going up there and you left some friends behind, the great thing is you can pull them up to you with your prosperity as well. Once you're there, because it's much easier to, if you have money, if you have capital, to get more capital, and especially for a person you love and like. So this sums up this whole book. I really hope you had some great insights and we will start a discussion board, because I was like, do I really want to do a video about this book? Because I already ran into really much problems about other entrepreneurs and so on. They were like from the really much older, and they're like, yeah, I know this book. And I told them, did you actually read it? No. I was like, why do you tell me you know this freaking book? So it's not accurate. And I'm like, have you read it? Have you gone through this book? It's just 40 years old and it has not come to our society. I'm like, what the frick? And it will take discussions, and I'm pleased to hear what your others saying in the comment box below. So have a great time.